Okay, so go ahead and get started. So I'm gonna call you guys out by name, and you guys want to review these Cornell notes. All I want to hear you guys say the answer. So make sure you guys are paying attention, and I want to just go through. If you do not have an answer, just say you ain't got it, and hopefully I'll come back to you when you have another opportunity to do it. So don't worry about volunteering to go. I already got everybody pegged for where I want you guys to go. This is the second to last assignment that goes in the grade book. What's going to happen tomorrow is that I'm going to give you guys a practice Unit 6 test, okay? If you do good on the practice Unit 6 test, I'm gonna really incline you to go ahead and take the Unit 6 test. That way you guys get it over with, okay? If you don't do well on it, I'll give you something else to review, and you don't have to worry about taking the test. But no matter what, then we come back after the break. On that Monday, we do a quick review, give you guys a test, have a 24-hour turnaround on that, okay? Keep in mind the idea of giving you guys the time to review and take the test early just because I will make sure you guys do the best you can on it. Based on yesterday, the state met to start the dialogue about the EOC. There are still a lot of members of the state school board that are still feeling like that the test needs to have some weight to it. So I would not be surprised if we find out today or tomorrow that the test is still worth at least 10%, which means that can be something that can hurt and break your grade because it's one test that's worth 10% of your grade. Is that right? Got me on that? Remember, your exams are worth 50% of your grade, so keep that in mind as well. Then your other assignments are worth like another, the way it's set up right now, the EOC set right now is 20% of your test, your grade. The formative assignments, like, all the classwork and homework you guys do, that's worth 30% of your grade. That's the reason why you guys are submitting work, you're not seeing a big change in your grade because that 30% is almost maxing out. And then 50% of your grade is a test. So we have one more Unit 6 of test, which is going to be given either tomorrow if you guys do good on the practice, or be given when we come back from break. Those are the ones that really can make a difference in your grade. So if they make the EOC worth 10%, that means I got 10% I'm probably have to put somewhere else. We'll find out more information. But as long as you pass the EOC, as of right now, that's still the final exam. You still should be okay with passing the class as well, as long as you got above 50%. Is there any questions about the EOC or anything like that?
Are we going to have any review?
Yeah, we're going to review the whole week after we come back from break. That Tuesday,
okay,
if the test is worth 10% or more, we're also going to review on probably that Wednesdays will be all hands on deck. It's normally a virtual day. I'm going to say if it's worth more than 10%, we're going to still do a review on that, like the normal class times. So, yeah, it's still going to be definitely review at least 3 days. Okay?
How much of a written portion is there?
Say again?
How much of a written portion is there?
There is no written portion on EOC. It's all multiple choice.
Oh, fancy.
I was about to say.
It's going to be multiple choice. It might be multi-select. You guys know how you had a couple questions on tests where you have multiple answers to select from? It may be like that as well, but it's going to be there's no written portion to the test.
Okay, dope. Well, that's the only question I have.
What is this we're doing right now? Like, what's the name of it?
We are
notes, the Unit 6.
Go ahead.
I'm trying to find it so I can pull it up. I don't remember the name of everything.
It's pretty much posted on almost every digital session for this unit because I gave it to you guys like 3 or 4 different times.
Okay.
We're about to start going over all the answers. Again, I'm going to tell you guys, like I told first block, a lot of you guys about to get a lot of wrong answers and probably bad grades because if you just try to Google it, you're not going to get all the right answers. All these questions are based off the presentations that I've made and posted in CTLS. Is everybody got me on that? Most of them, except this one, was a video. All the questions are based off the video. So if you guys are watching videos, y'all about to get a lot of wrong answers and probably get some bad scores. But at least you won't get a 0. But that's going to be a problem as we get ready to move forward. Something else, too. As far as the EOC as well, the test is going to be the 7th. That's the date that we have scheduled. If you're face-to-face, you're expected to take it on the 7th. You cannot take it on the 9th. Is everybody got me on that? Face-to-face, I know I had a couple people in the classes where you was face-to-face, you're taking it on the 7th. You cannot come back and take it on the 9th. The 9th is only for virtual students. Virtual students, most of you guys made your selection, so I thank you for that. But if you did not make your selection, you got to make sure you let me know. Are you taking it on the 7th or are you taking it on the 9th? That way we can make sure we allocate space for you, because and you got to take the test one way or the other, because that's a state and federal mandate. So make sure you guys keep that in mind as well. Bless you. Are there any questions about the EOC based on what I have right now as far as my knowledge? Any other questions about anything?
You have to take the test?
Yes, you do.
Okay.
Yeah, you got to take the test based on the federal mandate. The federal government says we got to give it, so we got to give it out. The question is, how much is it going to be worth? That's what we're waiting to find out. Any other questions? Okay, let's get started then. All right. Get to my great book. Mr. Carter, give me number 1 for Vietnam War. Explain how World War II affected Vietnam. For the sake of time, if you don't know the answers, just tell us. But Mr. Carter, give me number 1. Well, how did World War II affect Vietnam?
Oh, my bad. I was muted.
Okay.
World War II affected Vietnam when new alliances were made.
Yep. New alliances made, also new enemies too, right?
Right.
So good job with that one. Number 2, define the Geneva Convention. Ms. Benson, what you got for that? All right, so Vietnam was divided between North and South. Who were the two people again? France and Ho Chi Minh, who was the leader of Vietnam, Northern Vietnam, right? And anything else? Okay, that's it. You're right. Good job. All right, and then number 3 is going to be Ms. Doyle. How would you analyze Kennedy's position on the Vietnam conflict? So Kennedy supported the South Vietnamese government, right? Okay. How would you analyze Johnson's position on the Vietnam conflict? That is going to be Mr. England. Number 4.
He sent more troops into Vietnam, so he was not like abstaining from the war at all. Unlike, actually, none of the presidents actually were resisting the war until there was public outcry. So he used the Gulf of Tonkin resolution to move further into the war.
Thank you. Give me 1 second. One second. Arabelle, Eric, and Amaya, thank you guys for your comments. I already took care of you guys. So y'all good to go. All right. Ms. Gulta, what were some of the disadvantages of the Vietnam War or Vietnam?
She said her microphone is broken.
Okay. Can I get one of you guys to read her comment then?
Yeah, I don't mind.
Go ahead.
So the the operation of Rolling Thunder was basically just U.S. planes would just bomb a network of roads from like North Vietnam all the way to Cambodia. And this happened from like 1965 to 1968.
And you saying that for number 5 for the disadvantages of Vietnam?
Oh, I'm sorry. I thought we were on the bombing campaign.
That's okay. Give me 1 second. Ms. Gupta is right. She said U.S. troops were young and inexperienced, and the climate was very hot and rainy with jungles, mosquitoes, and leeches. So it's very, very hard to fight that war. So I'll come back to you in a little bit, okay? All right, so number 6 has different parts to it. Number 6 asks, what were some of the strategies used by the U.S. during Vietnam? Let's first talk about the bombing campaign. Elijah, you got that for us? Say that again. So they start burning out forests, but they also start doing a lot of bombing in the forest in the wilderness, right? So this is like a big, basic bombing campaign. So that's good. To take away the forest so they can see. That's the idea of it, right? Yeah. Okay. Now let's describe the chemical agents. Marley, do you have that for us? 6B. Still with us? Nope. All right. Next up I got then is going to be Austin. Do you have 6B? Describe chemical agents. You had napalm. You also had Agent Orange. That was all used against the Vietnamese. That's good. Thank you for that. The Tet Offensive. Let me get Miss Roberts, Alyssa. What was the Tet Offensive?
Tet Offensive was a surprise attack during the Lunar New Year on the North. I mean, the North attacked the South.
Go ahead. All right, that is correct. So good job there. Let's go to number 7. How would you describe the sequences of events for the end of the war? Somebody first describe My Lai. Let me get that to be Carlos. What was My Lai?
Can you say that again, sir?
Hold on 1 second. I want to see, can I give Carlos the opportunity? My Lai, number 7A.
You said my name, right?
Say that again. I couldn't understand you.
You said my name, right?
Yeah.
The massacre of Vietnamese with civilians.
Yeah, it's a massacre of Vietnamese civilians, which was really, really, really bad. I don't really know why they did it, but it was war, and it was a really bad example of what was going on. So thank you for that one. Let's describe now how the end of the Johnson era affected the Vietnam War. Let me get Luke. Do you have that one for us?
It was the end of a period of restrictive immigration laws with the U.S.
Say that one more time.
It ended the restricted immigration laws with the U.S.
Good job. All right. Let's talk about the election of Nixon. John, what you got for that one?
Nixon started the war quickly, but it dragged on for another very long time. In morale, the country and then decreased when the news of the My Lai massacre came out.
So give me a second. I gotta make sure they can hear you too. So Nixon promised to decrease the war, but he actually started increasing it. My lie heard it. The country's sentiment towards the war started declining. Go ahead.
He also started to gradually withdraw troops, but he also ended up bombing Cambodia and sending troops in.
So he started to take out troops, and then he started putting more troops in after the bombing of Cambodia. Right? Okay, good job. Good job. And then ultimate American withdrawal, Theodore, what you got about that?
So the American withdrawal, so in January of 1973, they got a ceasefire between the South Vietnam and North Vietnam and Viet Cong. So then they had everyone leave within 60 days and got POWs back. And then by March, the U.S. was out of there.
Good job. All right, so now let's go back up. Let's talk about the Cold War, okay, guys? All right, so what did you notice between the debate between Kennedy and Nixon? Maya, what do you got there? What did you notice between the debate between Kennedy and Nixon?
I didn't do that one.
Okay. Parker, what did you got for number one here? What did you notice during the debate between Kennedy and Nixon?
Well, this was the first televised debate, and I believe that the first thing I noticed was that on TV, John F. Kennedy appeared more like ready, and he had makeup on, and Richard Nixon was just raw Nixon, like he didn't have any makeup on. And so on TV, JFK appeared better.
There you go. Perfect. And then who was JFK? Who do I have listed for that one? He's not here. Okay, Trent.
I can get it.
He was the 35th president, one of the younger ones. He was assassinated, and one reason he won is because of the way people saw him on the first national news televised debate. So good job. What was JFK's view on getting a man to the moon? Sean.
JFK was like really for it because he wanted to make sure to get to space before the USSR did.
Perfect. Tell me the reasons for the Cuban Revolution, Frederick. But before that, the Cuban Revolution. Yeah, so like Castro and others. Get a little bit more detail. You're like you're scratching the surface of it. So anybody want to add like what was the reason for the Cuban Revolution? Anybody got that? I'm asking anybody in the class. What was some of the reasons for the? What was some of the? Yes and no. Go ahead, Trent. What you about to say? Whoever wants to say, I don't know. I'm gonna be quiet.
I was about to say there were missiles along really close American shores.
That's not the Cuban Revolution. That's the Cuban Missile Crisis. So what were some of the reasons for the Cuban? Go ahead. Who said that?
I have that there was the dictatorship and there was a lot of suppression and poverty.
Yeah, you had Batista, who was considered to be a dictator, but also you being a U.S. flunky, who had it was a lot of poverty in Cuba, like the darker Cubans versus the lighter Cubans. There's issues with that. Castro and others. Castro was actually an aristocrat, but he lived mostly with the poor, and he actually fought up against Batista and ousted him. And then that was some of the reasons for the Cuban Revolution. Is everybody got me on that? And the big thing that he did, he kicked the United States out. Remember, the United States, going back to the Spanish-American War, we fought for Cuban freedom, but then we also wanted to get our hands into the sugar plantations in the Caribbean. Do you guys recall that? Yeah? A lot of people talking to y'all, do you remember that? So that was also, so the United States also always had their hand, and also always was kind of dictating what was going on in Cuba. After the Spanish-American War, when Castro came in, he kicked them out. And then later came into the idea of becoming communist, because that time period during the Cold War, either you was capitalist, you the United States, or you're communist with Russia. Did I got me on that? The United States wasn't going to help Cuba because they just kicked them out. Russia did help him, and that's why he became communist, out of default almost. Did I got me on that? You got to go into one of the major economies, and the United States wasn't going to help them. In fact, they put up embargoes. All right, so the Bay of Pigs. Stockdale, can you describe to us what the Bay of Pigs was?
Okay, so the Bay of Pigs was a failed landing operation on the southwest coast of Cuba by Cuban exiles who opposed the revolution. So its failure led to many issues between the US, Cuba, and the Soviet Union. And in my opinion, I thought this was the beginning of many unnecessary conflicts.
All right, cool. Thank you. Let's go to now the Cuban Missile Crisis. So imagine if you are living in Florida during the Cuban Missile Crisis. What would you have done to protect you and your family? Noel.
I would say I would go in a basement.
You get in the basement? Okay. And you may also consider even moving from Florida at this time, too. There's a very big fear of nuclear fallout. That's good. Now, let's talk about the assassination of JFK. Horetta, can you describe or illustrate to us the assassination of JFK?
Well, he was assassinated in Texas while in a car, and like a sniper like shot at him a couple times, and he ultimately died in the car ride.
And who was accused of, who was the shooter?
Lee Harvey Oswald.
Perfect. Good job. Thank you. All right, let's go to the modern civil rights movement. Let me say this because this came up in one of my other classes. These courses are solely based off the video and the presentation I showed, okay? So when I'm calling, some of you guys are about to get called again, so make sure you guys are listening up. But make sure you guys have the correct answer, otherwise we're going to kind of have to stop and have to pivot away. All right.
Did you call me?
I'm about to in a minute.
Oh.
All right, so what is civil rights? Define civil rights for us, Eric.
Hold on, let me pull that up.
Define to us civil rights.
What session was that under?
The modern civil rights movement. I'm gonna come back to you. Arabelle, can you tell us what is civil rights?
Civil rights are rights of citizens to political and social freedom and equality, regardless of race, gender, or anything else.
All right. When did the civil rights movement start and why? Nathan.
The civil rights movement began on Tuesday, May 17th, 1954, and its goal was to gain equality for all citizens.
Do you have a why?
Yeah, its goal was to gain equality for all citizens.
Got you. All right. What case marked the end of Reconstruction? That's a typo. I meant Reconstruction. So let me fix that. Brandon, what do you got for that? What case marked the end of Reconstruction?
Hayes over Democrat Samuel Titan. The compromise of 1877.
Okay, come back. You right, but come back and say it more clear for us. Say it one more time for us. Brandon, can you say that one more time? You were right.
Hayes removed the troops after becoming president, and that formally ended the.
And that was known as the Hayes-Tilden Compromise, right?
Yep.
Let's kind of review first. All right, what was adopted to help recreate slavery? Who I had listed for this one? Sunday, what do you got for that? Number 4, what was adopted to help recreate slavery?
The Black Codes.
Black Codes, and then they later became what?
Jim Crow laws?
Yep, you got it. All right, Jay, now it's your turn, okay? What was the importance?
Okay. I don't think some of us should have, got that answer right, but, it's okay. Anyways, what's the question?
What was the importance of the Truman order to integrate the U.S. military?
Which one is that? The number? I'm sorry. What number is that?
Let's go back up real quick. Let's make sure we know two things here. Jay, your answer is the importance of the Truman to integrate the U.S. military. And then here, I said here the case, not necessarily the event. The case here would be Plessy v. Ferguson. So make sure you guys mark that. So what case marked in the Reconstruction official is Plessy v. Ferguson, which started separate but equal. Jay, go back and tell us what was the importance of Truman's order to integrate the U.S. military?
Truman's order led to the civil rights laws enacted in the 1960s. I can add on to that if you want me to.
Say it one more time and then add on to it.
1 second, I put it down. Truman's order led to the civil rights laws enacted in the 1960s. 1 second. Blacks could also begin training to become officers. It was a real step forward in equality.
Yeah, so it literally desegregated the armed forces, which is huge. All right, number 6. What was the significance of Brown v. Board of Education given?
I said the decision made in this case led to desegregating public schools.
Correct. Did anybody pick up why I said Brown v. Board of Education 1? Was there a second Brown v. Board of Education? I'm asking anybody this. This is not the video.
No.
When was Brown v. Board decided on? What year? Are y'all paying attention? What year was Brown v. Board of Education decided on? 1954. That was Brown v. Board 1. In the video, I said that there's another case that came out in 1955 because in Brown v. Board 1, they said in all deliberate speed. They did not put a time limit. Is everybody got me on that? A year later, they saw nothing was really occurring, and they tried to push it forward as far as desegregated schools again the second year. Is everybody got me on that? So make sure you guys keep in mind there was 2 Brown v. Board of Educations. All right, but it did desegregate schools. What was the date of the modern civil rights movement and it started? Egan, do you have that?
I don't have. Not really. I mean, it's mostly just the 60s, isn't it?
Nope.
Okay.
Anybody got that one? What did I say in the video? Anybody have it? I'm open up to anybody in the class.
It began in the late 1940s and ended in the late 1960s.
There you go. That's what I said. The late 1940s, because what was going on in the late 1940s? What marked the start of it? It was one major event that kind of started, people started to fight for rights. This is historiography. What happened in the 40s was major and big. World War II, exactly. So as black soldiers started coming back from World War II after fighting for their country, they started to want more freedoms and more rights because they just fought a whole big war. Does everybody make sense on that? So that was really the start of it. So good job. Hold on, let me get you a point. All right. Oh, let's see if y'all got this one. I gave about 3 or 4 different forms of school integration. So I'm asking you guys, what are the different forms of school segregation? Let's see who I have left on here. Actually, whoever think they got it, go ahead and answer. If you went already, that's great. But what are the different forms of school integration that I listed in the presentation? This is number 8.
I got it.
Form of school. Never mind. You can.
They have de facto, which is social and economic conditions. De jure, which is laws or administrative decisions. Court order busing and resurgence of minority schools.
Good job. Good job. Did everybody get that? If you didn't get it, you want to say one more time, Stockdale?
Okay, so they had de facto, which was social and economic conditions. De jure, which is laws or administrative decisions. Court order busing and resurgence of minority schools.
Perfect. All right. Number 9, what are some of the effects of the Brown decision? Let me get that to be Nuhan. What were some of the effects of the Brown decision?
Some of the effects of the Brown decision were that it desegregated schools and allowed minority children to receive better educations, but also caused a lot of like racial protest because like white people in the South didn't want to have their children going to the same school as Black children, so they were really angry and they would have racial riots.
Good job. Say what? All right. What was the Montgomery Bus Boycott? Eric, do you have that one? What was the Montgomery Bus Boycott?
The Montgomery Bus Boycott was a movement in response to Rosa Parks' arrest. African Americans refused to ride the bus, which hit a heavy blow into the economy.
Good job. All right. What is this idea of passive resistance? Marley, are you back on? Egan, do you have that one? What is passive resistance?
One of your students are really getting on my nerves.
Say what, Jay?
One of your students are really getting on my nerves.
Stay calm, stay nice. I'm laughing because I can't cry or anything else.
You asked me passive resistance?
Yes, sir.
It was a form of protest started by MLK. It was nonviolent.
And remember, it was based off of what Gandhi did as well earlier on. Is everybody got me on that?
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you for that one. Give me 1 second. All right. What were the freedom rides? Let me get.
It was
Wait. Simmons. What was the freedom rides?
Basically, people would get on the bus and they would take trips to the American South to protest segregated bus terminals.
Say it one more time, but you sound like you were right.
I said that people would get on the bus and they would take trips to the South to protest segregated bus terminals.
Okay, good. All right, so now we're going to the second round, and now this is where you guys start earning back some extra credit points. So I'm still calling you by name just to make sure I get through everybody. Freedom rights. When did Dr. King write the letter from Birmingham jail, and what was it? What was said? Gia. He's written in April. Okay. Does anybody have number 13, King's letter from Birmingham jail?
I have it.
Go ahead.
It was written on April 16th, 1963, and it basically defends the purpose of nonviolence in the face of racism.
Yep, perfect. All right. What was the March on Washington? Carlos, what you got for that? What was the March on Washington? Anybody want to answer this one? What was the March on Washington? You gotta speak a little bit louder. You are right. That's what he gave the I have a dream speech. Not so much of a trick question, but a trick question is, who organized it? Who organized the March on Washington?
Wasn't it John Lewis?
No, not John Lewis.
Wasn't it that A. Ralph guy?
Asa Philip Randolph.
Yeah, him.
Yeah, Asa Philip Randolph. Make sure you guys make a mark. He organized. It was one March on Washington that happened in the 1940s during World War II that got called off because FDR went ahead and gave contracts for the federal government. And then the second one he did for jobs and equalities. Okay. What was the Civil Rights Act of 1964? Let me get that to be. Who do I want? Deanna. What was the Civil Rights Act of 1964? Say a little bit louder. So it was an act that basically outlaw any kind of discrimination based on race, color, religion throughout the whole United States, in support of the already made 14th Amendment. Is everybody got me on that? So the Civil Rights Act basically supported the 14th Amendment that was already passed. All right, what was Selma? Theodore, what was Selma?
It was a march from Selma to Montgomery, Alabama, to protest voting rights not being given. And on the Edmund Pettus Bridge, there were a bunch of police officers that beat the marchers.
Good job. Okay. Who was Jackie Robinson, and what was the significance of him integrating Major League Baseball? Let me get that to be Frederick. What you got for that? Yeah, Jackie Robinson was the first Black American to play in the Major Leagues. He was drafted, if you can say, from the Negro Leagues. Go ahead. Yeah, he desegregated baseball, correct. He desegregated baseball. Good job. All right.
Let's just have a moment. Sorry, never.
Okay. Who was Malcolm X, and what was his role in the Civil Rights Movement? Let me get.
I got it.
Wait a second. I'm still calling people. Marley, do you have this one? I see you got back in. Who was Malcolm X and what was his role in the civil rights movement? Okay, anybody got that?
I got it.
Go ahead.
Malcolm X was a civil rights activist with the belief of they had to use force to get some type of reform.
Okay, anybody want to add to that? Wait. Yeah, so he had a pilgrimage to Mecca and he changed his ways as far as being anti other elements of civil rights movement and become more inclusive. There's a movie that came out about him. That's another movie you guys can watch for extra credit. And that'll be a good one for you guys to do as well. Yes, and honestly, if you watch the movie, you know a lot about the civil rights movement. All right, let's go to the last set of notes. You guys are doing good. Some people still need to get on the board. Some people still keep getting extra credit. All right, so now, and y'all do know we covered all this stuff already other ways, right? So like all these answers are out there. All right, describe the modern civil rights, the modern feminist movement. Let me get the modern feminist movement. Let me get Daniel. Go ahead and tell us about that. The modern civil rights, the modern feminist movement. What do you got for that?
It was a movement with a lot of women that wanted civil rights, like wanted more rights, like for pay wages and all that stuff.
Good job, man.
And they wanted to be considered equal too.
Good job. Who was Cesar Chavez? What? Jay, what, man?
Nothing. Sorry.
All right. But I'm asking you this question now anyway. Who was Cesar Chavez and what was the Chicano movement? So, Jay, you can speak on this one.
I can speak on this one? 1 second. I don't have the answer pulled up.
Hold on 1 second. Number 2, talk about Cesar Chavez and what was the Chicano movement?
Let me get to it. All right. Cesar Chavez was a former migrant worker that organized the Chicano movement, which had nonviolent protests against low wages, unsafe working conditions, and long hours.
Good job. What was the environmental movement, Egan?
The environmental movement?
Yeah. What was it?
It was just like a movement to like conserve the environment and to have more like green practices for businesses.
Who was a major person that we need to know about? I'm asking the whole classes. Who was a major person that came out of the environmental movement we need to know about? Because everybody went now, so now y'all on extra credit points. Who got that one? Who was a major person?
Rachel Carson?
Rachel Carson, that's correct. And she wrote the book Silent Spring. Make sure you guys make a note of that too. That's definitely gonna be on your test. All right, this Silent Spring. All right, describe the gay rights movement. Let me get that to be Austin, actually you. What was the gay rights movement during the 60s and 70s? Okay. He's not here. Given. What was the gay rights movement?
I said that it was a movement that was started to address the years of police harassment felt by the gay community and also to get them rights.
Good job.
You should have gave that one to me. I'm so upset.
It's okay. I'm enjoying your upsetness though.
What is wrong with you?
He gave me some comedy relief, so I appreciate it, Jay. All right. Who was Richard Nixon? Arabelle. Who was Richard Nixon?
He was president of the United States, and he had the whole Watergate scandal, and he just was not a great president.
And he got impeached and he resigned, right?
And then he got pardoned for all his crimes by his friend who took over.
Go ahead and give us that. Who was Gerald Ford?
Oh, do you want me to talk about Gerald Ford too?
Yes, because you already kind of led into it.
So he took over, and he was the only president who ever took over after a president had resigned, and he pardoned Nixon for all of his crimes in office.
Yep, there you go. Good job. All right, describe Roe v. Wade. Y'all got some really good grades. I'm just tell y'all that. So good job. Carlos, can you describe Roe v. Wade?
You told me to describe what?
Roe v. Wade.
Oh, I don't got that one.
I got it.
Go ahead.
Roe v. Wade was basically a Supreme Court decision to block the government's, I guess, restrictions against abortion, and give women the right to choose
Good
between
job.
pro-life or abortion.
All right, now it's open season, but if some people, I'm gonna have to cut you off because you guys are getting excess points now. But if you want points, this is your opportunity to speak, okay? Talking to everybody in class and also online. This is your time to speak. What was the Bakke decision? It's better to go and me tell you you're not gonna get the points, or to not go at all. What was the Bakke decision?
The Bakke decision was a court decision where they created affirmative action and quotas for like workplaces and universities. It made it so that minorities and females have a better chance of getting into a job or a university if they're qualified.
That's some of it. The other thing you want to make sure you know about Bakke, that was going against that was the UC system, the University of California, Davis. And you had Bakke who was saying he was not admitted into a school because of the quota system. He basically said I was not admitted because minorities was admitted above me and that they was not as qualified. And the court said that that was not right. Is there right? Got me on that? So it challenged affirmative action. We'll talk more about affirmative action later on because I got a comic book that I'm going to have you guys read about that. So good job. Who was Justice Earl Warren? Again, you guys answer the questions. It's all y'all extra credit right now. Who was Earl Warren? Say it again a little bit louder. I can hear you.
Oh.
And why is he important? He was the 42nd former Chief Justice, but why is he important, Dion? That's Thurgood Marshall. Anybody else want to add on to Earl Warren? He was the Supreme Court Chief Justice. Go ahead. Yeah, he delivered the ruling of Brown v. Board of Education, and also even some of these other cases that came after, okay? So that's why he was huge. As far as the legal side, you could say, nah, I won't say that, but he was a big person as far as the legal side. Give me 1 second so I can keep up with these numbers and these scores. All right. How did the death of JFK impact civil rights?
I think that it was a positive impact that people saw how he supported them. They saw he got killed for it almost.
Yeah, he became a martyr. So he actually, let me make sure you guys understand this, and then I really hope all my other classes watch this video. JFK was not the most liked president when he was president, right? But the fact that he was killed on national TV, he became a martyr, and people started loving him even more. Is there, I got me on that? And then that's kind of helped push civil rights, because he did do a little bit for civil rights. But again, make sure you guys understand that both him and LBJ were kind of forced to do it because everybody was seeing what was going on. Is there, I got me on that? But after JFK died, everybody saw that and people started loving him more. Because like, oh my God, the president just died in front of all of us. Okay? All right, next one will be explain LBJ's Great Society programs.
I got it.
I gotta cut you, Trent, because you kind of maxing out for today. Thank you, though. Huh. You're there, but not really. Nope. I know what you're trying to say, but once you hear the answer, you'll be like, okay, I get you. Anybody got what was the Great Society? Anybody got that? Trent, go ahead, man. Go ahead and get you some more points. I'm not gonna stop you.
So the LBJ Great Society was basically a plan that derived from a speech that Lyndon B. Johnson made, which was to eliminate racial tension and poverty issues.
And that's why I think you about to say New Deal. That's why it's kind of close to it. You're good. All right, now describe modern conservatism. Who has that one? Describe modern conservatism.
I have it.
Go ahead, Maya.
Basically, it takes the position that the government is too inefficient to handle society's problems and they should not be relied upon.
And who was the big person pushing this?
I don't know. I just knew that part.
Anybody got the name of the person that was the first push for modern conservatism? Folks in my class, if y'all look on your phone, I hope y'all looking this up. Online, anybody got this for us? Who was the big pushing for conservatism back here in the 70s?
Which one is that?
We're looking at number 12, and my question is...
It was Edmund Burke, right?
That's not the name I'm looking for.
Number 12?
Yeah.
Modern conservatism is an alliance of people who have enough in common to justify working together, as well as enough not in common to produce ongoing tensions, passionate debates, and the occasional public rupture.
That's
Barry
right.
Goldwater.
Say it again, Theodore.
Barry Goldwater.
Yes, Goldwater. He was a big person that was a big push against. He was the first U.S. conservative, you say, okay? He's the first when he ran for president. He was really pushing the idea of conservatism. You guys are right describing it, but I wanted to know that major big person who was pushing it is Harry Goldwater. Good job. All right.
Sorry.
You good. Now, here's one of y'all all better get. So somebody just jump up and get your points. What was the Miranda decision?
All criminal suspects must be advised of their rights before interrogation.
Perfect. So this is the reason why you have a right to remain silent, right to et cetera, when you guys, those are called your Miranda rights. Has everybody got that?
Yes.
Yes, no? These are things you got to know.
Can I answer 14?
Go ahead. What happened at the Democratic Convention?
At the Democratic National Convention, Democrats wanted to officially nominate a candidate for president and vice president, adopt a comprehensive party platform, and unify the party again.
And anything else happened at the Democratic Convention? What about Robert Kennedy? He got assassinated. Anything else? Were there any protests? Things like that? There's a lot of protests outside. People are still being anti-Vietnam War. They're protesting. Fannie Lou Hamer, she came on TV and made a big speech about things too. All right, you guys. Guess what? That's literally the whole Cold War and Civil Rights Movement, okay? So give yourselves a round of applause. Good job. You guys got through it. I appreciate that. Another class kind of had me upset. You guys made me a little bit more calmer because you guys are able to do your work, and I do greatly appreciate that. I cannot say how much I greatly appreciate that, okay? And a lot of you guys earned,
let me just say,
about 10 to 15 points extra credit, so good job.
Dr. Tibble.
Yeah.
So basically this whole Cold War thing was a waste of time.
What? Why would you say that?
I don't know. I just seem like, I don't know. Because they weren't like fighting.
We've ever done.
Wait, I got like 4 people talking. Go ahead.
There were proxy wars, though.
Oh, okay. I don't know. I just like when it's not like there's actual fighting. I don't really think of it as a war.
It was not
the coldness.
Yeah, you had the Korean War. That's part of the Cold War. You had the Vietnam War. The whole idea about the Cold War is that it was a consistent and it's a consistent. What's the word I'm trying to say? Not necessarily anarchy, but it was like a fear. It was a fear that don't have to be World War III. It was consistently like ever since World War II ended up to the 1980s and Reagan, we was always worried about World War III happening. So it was like a stalemate. That's why it's called the Cold War. Does that make sense?
Okay.
With that being said, I'm gonna say this to you: we are at war right now. Y'all do know this, right? It's called the War on Terror. So
Wait, what?
We're at war right now, and it's called the War on Terrorism. We're still fighting that war with no insight and end because we don't know. You cannot identify who a terrorist is. So we're still at war. You guys, mostly everybody in this class was born into a war, so it's very similar to that. But you could call it the Second Cold War. You might not have active fighting, but you're still fighting a war. Okay? So, good point. Good questions. All right, let me show you guys what you guys got to do for homework. And then I'll be done. So, let's log into CTLS. So, again, tomorrow when you guys come into class, you guys are going to have a practice unit exam. If you pass the unit exam, I'm going to suggest you go ahead and take the unit test. If you don't pass it, I'm going to give you the opportunity to review. And then regardless of what you're doing, I'm playing a movie in the background, okay? All right, so let's go to any class. It don't matter. Let's go to my first block. All right, so what you guys are going to do here is go down to digital sessions. Go to today's digital session. Nixon through Trump. Go to lesson assignments. And what you guys are going to have to complete this tonight. Is everybody got me on that? This is your final assignment that goes into the grade book. After this, everything I give you guys, I'll be making up grades. First, I think some of you guys take for granted the fact that I don't give you zeros. If you miss an assignment, you got a 40, means I've given you some credit. Is everybody got me on that? You are welcome. Because we all know that most teachers give y'all zeros, aren't they? So let's first
I don't take that for granted.
Well, thank you for not taking it for granted. I have a lot of students that take it for granted. So I give you some credit, so I give you credit for just being here and trying. Thank you so much for that. I'm that kind of nice dude. But those 40s will be made up as we start doing EOC review next week. Week after break. I'm also going to give you guys a makeup assignment next week that will make up all your grades. And I've been saying this since day one, and if it's extra credit, I am not taking it late. I don't care what happened. Is there got me on that? It's extra credit. You got to get that work in on time. All right? And I'm saying this to you guys now. When we come back from break, nothing is going to be taken late because it's all extra credit. Is there got me on that? If you miss it, that's on you. If you can't submit it, that's too bad. But I am not taking any extra credit work late. Is everybody clear there? Okay. This is the last non-extra credit assignment you guys are going to get. It has a due date of Friday because we're going to review it tomorrow, but get this done tonight. This is the one time actually I get a homework assignment done in 24 hours. This will cover the last two standards. This is a Webquest. I have an instructional video that tells you guys how to do it. So watch the video. Stop whiling. Watch the video to show you guys how to do the assignment. But in a nutshell, take a sheet of paper, copy, raise your hand, let me know if you want a copy. Click on the website, answer the questions. It's that simple. Website, answer questions. Website, answer questions. Do you got another website? Answer questions. Everybody got me on that? You can also scan the QR codes if you want to, but you literally make sure you guys do them in order based on the presidents. So I'm kind of going to test you, make sure you guys have it in chronological order. So Nixon came first in the Webquest, and then Trump's going to be last. Make sure you guys have your answers in the chronological order based on when the president hit. Is everybody got me on that? Yeah, you can write them down. If you want to type them in CTLS, that's fine. But make sure every time you type it, you click, every time you finish, get in the habit of clicking save. That way you guys get done. When you're done with the whole thing, hit submit to teacher. So you're doing first class will be Nixon through Bush Sr., George H.W. Then the next one you're going to have Clinton through Trump. President Trump is not going to most likely be on your EOC, but just in case I get a question, I want to make sure you guys got an answer for it, okay? So this is really the beginning of his presidency. I didn't even go into the last 2 years because that's still more recent stuff. Huh? This is on the session, yeah. Yeah. This is in your lesson assignments. And then you guys have a closer. You answer this question here. President Carter was a one-term president. What were the reasons he didn't get reelected? How could he have avoided the problems that brought him down? So make sure you guys answer all those questions and you submit this. This is going to be in the lesson assignments for today's lesson right here. Are there any questions on that? Does anybody, any of you guys want a hard copy? Yes. One person? 3? Okay. Online people.
Questions are on this test.
Huh?
How many questions are on this test?
The practice test tomorrow is about 30, 35. Your actual test is about 46.
Okay.
Okay. All right, online people, if you have no other questions, that's all I got for you guys. You guys can go ahead and start looking at this Webquest to get that done. Remember, it is due tomorrow.